Guys, it's time for the most important part of a new expansion and the most exciting. It's time to gear up. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so happy. I love this time of a new expansion. I've slept. I'm more ready to talk to you than I was yesterday. It is gearing up, and everything is available for gear. Now, for most people, that's maybe not a big deal, but when you do raid, it is a consequence that a lot of the game kind of dies off and becomes kind of useless to you. So this period of time where we're getting ready and we're preparing for the inevitable Mythic Plus rush, Heroic Week, all that kind of stuff is super fun because there's upgrades coming from everywhere and you're trying to like mix match these abominable pieces of gear that you pick up in order to get ready. So today was that day. Time to gear up the hunter. We capped yesterday. The covenant I chose was the Night Fae. I know lots of people on their hunters are like, why Night Fae? Don't you hate Night Fae? I do. I like them from their gameplay. If you remember our reviews, I really like their weekly event. I like a lot of things about the Night Fae. I like their soulbinds. I just don't like the Uwu style. It's not my thing.
I think it's the introduction to the boss mechanic.
What?
I like to do that.
Stop! Get off the mouse!
Alright.
But Night Fae is edging out Kyrian ever so slightly. So if you are looking for performance metrics, Kyrian is super, super close. But, you know, you choose whatever suits you. I also bought some BOEs. I bought 2 BOEs. I'm going to get to that in a minute. So how did gearing day go? Well, it was interesting because what are we after? We're after Mythic 0 gear, which we know is going to become essentially useless in a couple of weeks' time, and we're going to replace it very quickly. However, it is still important because it makes that Mythic Plus rush that much easier, and it makes your Torghast easier, and it makes the whole world that much easier. You are overcoming the odds. You need this base gear in order to get the good stuff. So after leveling, I came out at 143. That was my item level in order to begin the process. And where did I go? Straight into Mythic 0. It's the most important thing for me. I haven't even done my Torghast introduction quest yet. I wanted to get the gear as quickly as possible because it makes everything else that much easier. It's an efficient way of playing things. And we do the Mythic 0 World Tour. That means that Mythic 0, of course, locks you out for the entire week. So what you do is you do all of them at least once. And that means you get the maximum amount of high-grade gear that you possibly can. Now, through that process, I netted about 170. So I moved up about 30 item levels just from doing that. Not idyllic stats by any means, but good enough. I was missing a couple of slots, namely a weapon. And this is where the BOEs came into it, guys. The BOEs were extraordinary because the market has responded. You might remember in a video probably about a week or so ago, I told you do not buy BOEs because people are going to rip you off. That's exactly what happened in the Battle for Azeroth, where people were charging like 1.1, 1.2 million for some weapons, and all the BOEs were being like costing a fortune. However, Blizzard took notice. And what they've done this time is really up the drop rate of the BOEs. Why didn't you tell us about this, Mike? They weren't on the beta. We didn't know. So the drop rate of BOEs is actually quite large. What this meant is yesterday, the first BOEs that started to appear on the auction house were 1.1 to 1.2 million for weapons. By today, they have dropped like a tenth of the price because there's so many dropping, people just want to get rid of them now while they're somewhat useful. That meant well worth it. Because that means the next week and perhaps even the next 2 weeks, assuming I don't get a weapon next week from Mythic 0, are going to be that much better. So I picked up a 190 bow, and I also picked up the Dark Moon card. Now, the Dark Moon card isn't particularly good, at least for me as a hunter. But what it does do is it opens up my trinket slots so I can trade stuff away and people can trade things back to me. So it's something that pays off big over time. So I picked up the Dark Moon card, which I think is item level 200, put that in both of the trinket slots, so they're both flagged as being able to trade, and that worked out later on, as someone would be able to trade trinkets to me, and I was able to give trinkets away, and that way we form a cohesive unit. So that's gonna... Your mileage is going to vary heavily depending on your server. A low pop server might be charging a huge amount for these BOEs. High pop servers might be charging less. They might not be worth to you. Do you play with other people so trading isn't a big deal? It's really up to you and exactly how much wealth you're carrying around. Is 100k a great big deal of money to you, in which case they're too expensive for you? If you're somebody who has several million gold, then it's probably not that big of a deal. And that's the way I played it out in my mind, is like, this is worth it to me because I'm not paying an extortionate amount for something I'm going to replace. I'm paying a reasonable amount for something that I'm definitely going to replace. But again, your mileage is going to vary on that. What else did I do today that I thought was important? Exactly what I told you was the important stuff. I did my Renown quests, in fact only 2 of them, so I have Renown level 2, and I will pick up my Anima over the week. I'm not rushing it, there's no need. In fact, tomorrow I'm going to play my alt. I did my gearing today, and that is enough for my main character in terms of preparedness for what I really care about. Do I want to come back and do a ton of stuff on him? Absolutely. I want to do loads of stuff on him, but for now, that character is done. I'm going to move over to my DK now and start leveling him up so he can be done with week 1. And then we're both in good stead to do professions, which I'm planning to do on Friday. And in fact, I have myself a little goal list of things I want to get done before the reset in EU, which is next Wednesday. I want to have my professions done. I want to try and get my legendary recipes. Remember, we've had that link and spreadsheet that we've made for you guys, which has your legendary recipes, where they drop, what they do, all that kind of stuff. And now we're starting to see the spawning of BIS lists. That's right, BIS lists. There's no Warforging, Titan Forging, or any of that nonsense in the Shadowlands, which means we have BIS lists again. Pre-raid BIS and all that. Icy Veins has some really good ones. There's a lot of ones flying around, and they're all exactly the same, because they're BIS. That's what's been worked out with the Mathemagicians and all that kind of stuff of items to target. And it was really cool today, diving into Plaguefall. I need a recipe from there. I want to get Plaguefall done. I want to get Torghast done because I have another recipe from there that I want. All these kinds of things are what I'm working on right now. So currently I'm sitting at item level 178. Pretty much going to leave it there. Might pick up a couple of world quest items if they interest me or something on those lines. I'm missing like a pair of gloves. Things like that I might pick up over the week. I expect to finish up the week around 180 something. And then it's next week, another round of M0, which I don't expect my item level to rise, but I do expect to start getting some more specific stats, because of course we can't trade stuff, and whatever we get is whatever we get during this week. So next week it'll be a bit more about optimizing the character, increasing its damage that way, and then making it that much better moving into Mythic Plus week the following week. So that's the game plan as of right now. I'd love to know exactly where you guys are up to, how you're planning your strategy, and what you found really interesting. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye bye.